Alrighty, welcome back to Inner Strength Check, home of all things music, art, and mental health. My name is Brady, and joining me are two folks from the band that absolutely personifies "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Old school death metal legends, FLESHCRAWL. I have with me Boris and Bastian from the band. Good evening, gentlemen.
Woof woof. How's everybody doing?
Hi. Doing great, doing great. And how about you, Bastian? How you going?
We're pretty okay. Yeah. Happy with
Oh,
the release and with the album also.
excellent work on the way, guys. I was just saying to Boris.
Very collected German answer.
Yeah,
Danke.
right.
Um,
No,
on that,
we're excited. We're excited. I mean, yeah,
mm.
the response is really good so far.
It's been a
Like
fantastic,
globally, I mean, everywhere.
yeah. And I just want to give good feedback too for myself. I was just mentioning to Boris before you hopped on, Bastian, that I've given this album probably about five or six spins at least in the last week, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It feels like you guys have focused more just basically, from my ears anyway, the follow-up to your last album, The Time Between. Obviously, a lot has happened in between then, yeah. But it feels a lot more sort of like focused. There's a lot less sort of like longer kind of lead passage. It seems a lot more riff based this time around.
Yeah, funnily enough, like our approach towards writing the album wasn't focused at all. I mean, that's why it took us like 5 years to complete this thing. So we started writing it in like 2021,
Mm,
and the reason it took so long, we just wanted to do it organically, like just like you did it like 25 years ago. You just dropped ideas around in the rehearsal room. You just sent each other, like demo files, and like our guitar
mm.
player sometimes just hummed ideas into his phone and like sent that to the group chat and
Hey,
whatever. So
beauty
yeah,
of
we just built,
technology.
built, yeah, and we just built on that. And fun fact is that we wrote more than 20 songs for this album. Like at the end, we had to actually narrow it down quite a lot.
Wow, because there's quite a fair few tracks on Epitome of Carnage too.
Yeah,
So you
it's
guys
it's
got
already long as it is. Like if we would record it, I think it would be easily like a double record or something.
and I feel like you're long term. I like feel like hardcore Flash Core fans would eat that up anyhow. Um, how are you feeling about the how are you feeling about the album, Bastion? Is that sort of kind of landing in terms of like your thoughts with the way the new material's headed, or is that just my kind of take on things?
So can you say again what was that?
Oh, I'm just curious to hear your take on. I just mentioned sort of before that so Boris was mentioning that you guys had done like 20 songs. So you guys had
Yeah,
obviously bashed out a lot of material in that time. Was that
yeah.
fairly evenly spread out? Was that like a sort of slow process while you were jamming, or was it more kind of, did you guys kind of rush a bunch, or has it been sort of a little bit more evenly spread out over this time? Because fair bit of material.
Uh, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, we're
Mm, mm,
collecting stuff all the time,
mm,
basically.
mm,
Like the guitarist, like also Boris is he's also a guitarist, so he's also collecting some stuff, and I'm also contributing some stuff here and there.
mm,
So whenever I have something in mind, I have my mobile phone at hand, and trying to
mm,
record it, not to
mm,
lose that special idea.
mm, mm.
So
Yes, in terms of
continue
the writing process, it was quite
time.
long, but like the album itself, we got done with the recordings, I think, in the span of a month.
Wow. That's impressive considering the track list. And how was the recording process for you guys? Because I feel like in terms of tone, I'm loving the tone, especially the guitar and bass on the new albums. Like it's just sounding just it's so, yeah, everything you guys have put out, it's got that real Swedish buzzsaw to it. But I feel like that's been dialed up to infinity on this new one. Was that like a deliberate kind of choice in terms of like gear or production this time round?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like
Mm,
our guitar player, who actually owns the studio that we did like 100% of the recordings in,
mm,
he's like the old school philosophy guy. So everything was recorded analog. Like there's real drums. The guitars were reamped professionally in like two different
awesome.
places with like a selection of amplifiers and like the original Japanese HM2, and there's layers of that. And on
Nice.
the other hand, the bass has been kept like almost 100% organic, in
Mm.
opposition to the fact that everybody is using like this wall of distorted bass sound nowadays, which just makes things
Yeah.
more chaotic. So that just kind of adds like, this clean driving layer to the whole thing, makes it more focused, I guess. So
It.
yeah, the recording
Mm.
the recording process itself was pretty laid back. I mean, we did it over a number of weekends, as far as it goes for the vocals and stuff. Then the
Mm.
guys did the recordings. Like first thing was the drums. Correct me if I'm wrong, Basti. I think you did it in like 3 days,
Well, it was 5 days. I mean, the drums
5
have to
days.
be
Yeah.
done in one shot, of course, because you have to set up microphone, everything, and then you
Mm.
can't stop in between or so. So drums were done in like 5 days, 4 days,
Mm.
5 days, whatever.
Mm. Mm.
And after that, I mean, we had time. We could split up for guitar, bass, and vocals. And I mean, the guitars were reamped anyway, also in a different studio.
Mm.
Sometime
Mm.
after, so we guitar signals were basically clean.
Mm.
And then we had all possibilities to reamp in that other studio. Try out different sounds, different amplifiers, and all that stuff.
I think the interesting
Yeah.
thing for me with you guys is that if you look at the death metal scene, even between the time of the release of your last LP in, I believe it was 2019, and now, the death metal scene, if we think about like tone and dynamics, it's quite interesting because I feel like a lot of bands are, and as a bassist, I'm pretty biased, so I love it, but I feel like you guys are kind of tonally going in a sort of an opposite direction where a lot of death metal bands now I notice they're very focused on like the clarity of the tone, and funnily enough, like people want to hear the riffs, like a lot of people want to hear that kind of nice clean tone, and then they might have like a bit more of a sort of like jagged, distorted tone on the bass or like effects laden bass. Is that kind of something that you guys are noticing popping up even just within like the European scene as well? Like there's a lot more sort of it must be interesting to be for you guys sticking to that like tried and true old school sound while just the death metal scene around you guys is exploding with what feels like a lot of people in a good way, but does feel like a bit of an arms race, like people trying to outdo each other technically, creatively, that kind of thing, like really just trying to go in crazy directions. Um,
Oh yeah. I mean,
mm,
in the past, like especially like 10 years, because of the streaming culture and like kind of, I guess you could call it the diversification of like how people are consuming music. Uh, First of all, like the technical prowess and all that kind of thing goes into, like maximizing volume, maximizing clarity. Because let's be honest, like in 2026, most of the younger generation is not going to listen to your shit if it's not polished into perfection.
it's pretty, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
no, it's just true. If you listen to any
mm,
metalcore production or deathcore, or
yeah,
especially the modern guys who like makes classical elements into their music too, it's like it's so overproduced. It's impressive and it's fucking gigantic, but still.
mm,
And in the other way, I feel kind of like the whole old school death metal scene, not just us, but like bands like Entrails and Endseeker, Dismember is back, and League from
mm,
Sweden. Everybody's doing the exact opposite thing because you kind of have to preserve the old school mentality, but also kind of present it in a way which becomes palatable to the new generation, if you know what I
mm,
mean.
mm. And in terms of what you guys have noticed, just in terms of shows, now that you're kind of back on the touring circuit and stuff, do you? I mean, it's not easy to, it's not like you're kind of standing there getting a count of heads, but do you feel like there are younger fans attending a lot of Flesh Crawls shows still, like at checking
Oh,
guys
oh
out
yeah.
festivals and stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Like we just had a release show in WIM. I was actually talking to Basti during the show. We were standing outside. And I was like, dude, like the age groups at this show are incredible. It was everything from like 12-year-old kids until the age of like 70. It
Collectible
was insane.
set.
Like there were people who were listening to Fleshcrawl before I was born in like 1987, before they will even call it Fleshcrawl. And then there were
Yeah.
guys who only heard like the latest record. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
Has it?
somehow we reach all kind of people, like
Mm,
from all ages, which
mm,
is good.
mm.
Yeah, apparently death metal really is timeless.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing about this sort of style of death metal that you guys are playing, and kind of more to my point, what I'm noticing actually is like it's almost like we're experiencing the last 4 or 5 years. It's a bit of a almost like a grab bag of the early 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s tech death scene, where a lot of bands are trying to do that kind of like be as progressive and technical and out there as possible. But there is a real appetite for old school death metal and just that raw sound. And I feel like this could be my take. I'm interested to hear your guys' take on this, but I feel like people are kind of yearning for this sort of just no BS, no bullshit, just meat and potatoes, riffs, solos, leads. Here you go. It's I don't know what else to say, buddy. It's old school death metal, you know? Um,
Yeah,
I feel like there's a bit of a
yeah.
cultural shift. Like people are kind of really starting to get into that, even with hardcore and things. Like I've kind of
I
noticed that at shows.
I think it comes back to what we just talked about, like the overproduction of modern music and stuff. And
Mm,
it's not like this area of like, old school fans ever disappeared. Where it's always been small. Like this is why we call it the underground. Like
mm,
there was always, this layer of people who just want to come to a show and groove.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like because
yeah,
when you go to a show like, Cannibal Corpse or Archspire, like as goofy as those guys may be, like you have to pay attention to the music, otherwise you just get lost in the cacophony of sound.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and in opposition to that, if you come to a show like ours or like League or any of the old school guys, Germany is actually full of super talented bands.
Mm,
You just get what the same thing that you got in like 1995. It's just a couple of dudes on the stage who have refined their craft to the point where they can just present it in a way that's impressive. And then there's maybe smoke machines and lights.
mm.
And you can just enjoy a show, have a beer with your friends, talk about shit, have a good
E-
time.
Exactly. Bastian, I'm interested to hear on that note. I'm just thinking, like, for you, I'm guessing you must have noticed too, just kind of going through the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s, just in terms of the live front, like we're talking about the album, but also if we're thinking about live music, just the amount of extra energy and effort a lot of bands they've kind of put themselves into, wireless guitar, lots of backing tracks, multiple laptops, that sort of thing. Have you, I'm just sort of curious, Bastian, from your perspective, have you seen that sort of coming up more and more from bands
Uh,
like around you
uh,
on festival bills?
Sorry, I'm just laughing here in the background because I know he's allergic to this stuff.
Uh,
Yeah.
I figured.
Uh, Actually, I never thought about this type of development or, you know.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
because he never uses it. We don't have any triggers, any backing tracks.
Yeah, no,
Dude, we don't
I
even
mean,
use a fucking click track live.
no, live not. No, no. I mean, that's a different story. That to play with Click Live and all this the stuff you need on stage to manage it, and somebody has to maintain it, and everybody's
Mm,
too lazy for that, and everybody just wants to have fun,
yeah.
or not like being forced to take care about all that shit.
Mm,
So we
mm,
do it without that. And apart from that, I mean, this band was always about being basic stuff, not
mm,
overproduced, not really overproduced. I mean, some of
mm,
the older albums are more like sound more modern, like Made of Flesh, for example, and stuff.
yeah.
We never had like these overproduced records in the past, like
Mm,
many other bands do. I mean,
mm.
okay, on some older records, we also used one time a snare trigger. That's right, but that was never done again because it sucked.
Yeah, because it didn't sound the way you imagined it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I know for a fact that you're
You'd
talking
be
about Soul Eater.
traumatized.
and if you see the name old school death metal, the name itself says you cannot do that, like overproducing it. It's old
Mm.
school. It has to remain old school. It's good as it is, as old as it is, and the sound to preserve that old school sound.
I
And
think
it
it's very,
does not have
yeah.
to be modern
Yeah,
in a
the
way
sound
like
technicians,
overproduced.
sound technicians absolutely love us, by the way, especially when we just show up and all we have is like two amps, a couple of HM2 pedals, and I need any random microphone so I can make monster noises. That's all.
The the
And
sound
the
guy
secret is,
he's just bowing at you guys and like, oh, you don't even have a laptop.
No,
and
nothing.
and the other secret is if the band or your band or one a band sounds good with all that technology shit, then the band also can play and really is good. So that is my take on this. Yeah. If
And
you
I
need
think
all this technology to sound good or to cover up stuff, then you better go back to rehearsal and try.
yeah, and that also brings up an interesting point too, is that I feel every time I've listened to like a Dismember album or a FLESHCRAWL album or something like that, like I can picture myself in the like at the gig, you know what I mean? Like I know what I'm hearing is kind of what I'm gonna get in even in terms of tone and that sort of thing. And
That's good,
what
huh? I mean, that's if you expect well, you expect something special to get, and then that's what you get actually. If you would get something else, then you would be disappointed,
yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
it's absolutely correct. I think what you think, but that came out wrong. Anyway, the point is, I agree with you. So
Yeah,
it comes back to the point with all these gigantic productions like Lorna Shore and Dimmu Borgir and all the huge ass black metal guys. Like you listen to the record, but you know to a fact, like when you see them live, you're not gonna see the actual gates of hell open and like zombies killing each other in front of you.
Yeah. Well, on that note
I
too,
mean,
with
all these monster shows and the monster bands. I mean, this everything looks perfect, sounds perfect, even on stage. Everything is like fully planned and how do you say? There's a choreography almost for
mm,
everything.
mm, mm,
Um, but is it still natural in some way? I mean,
mm,
because if you play live in the live band and you play you do some mistakes here and there, it's normal, okay? And these little mistakes, like to be not all the time 100% on the one, on two, on three, this makes it human, makes it natural actually, and doesn't makes it not sound like a machine at the end.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
exactly. Like that's the whole reason why the album sounds organic too. Like the guitars are
Yeah.
not over edited. Like the drums are not quantized into oblivion. Like there's timing that slides over here and there.
mm.
There's natural push and pull to the riffs.
Do you
So
guys?
I'm not saying overproduced records or bands
Yeah,
is basically bad, but for
mm,
FLESHCRAWL it's a no go, I mean, other bands
mm,
can do that, and that for them it's maybe good, well,
mm.
that's okay.
I mean, it's however people want to go about creating music, but I think for yourself, for both you guys, do you find that with the production and writing that it's a little bit less anxiety than maybe a lot of modern bands because you're not having to fiddle around, you're not having to worry about interfacing with tech. You don't have to have this background. What if this, plugin
Oh yeah,
doesn't end up working, all
it's
that sort of stuff.
it's absolutely part of it. Like especially our bass player, he's got so fucking tired of hauling his huge ass Ampeg amplifier around. He now just bought like I think it's a modular Harley Benton. I'm not sure which model, but it's like the size of a fucking toaster. He just
Yeah.
drops it in his
Uh,
backpack and he can directly go out onto the PA and like sound exactly the way he sounds on the record. So
Oh, perfect.
it's just minimizing stress, minimizing all the shit that you have to care about, and like just carry a case with your pedals, carry a backpack with your amplifier, and you're done.
Mm, mm. And in terms of like how you guys have approached lyrics and that sort of thing, I think the other thing too with Flesh Crawl that I feel might be a little thing that is sort of missed because I did a bit of reading of some reviews, some old reviews and stuff, and it's kind of funny where people pick apart Flesh Crawl because they go, "Oh, this is like, your cheesy average like death metal lyrics about death, da 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 da." Da. But every interview I've seen of you guys where you're talking about it, this sense of, look, man, we're just dudes just trying to write some death metal and have some fun here. Like, um, that's the general tone I get of like how you guys approach the lyric writing. Was that the same for Epitome? Was it more just sort of like the lyrics are there to
Uh,
supplement, or was there a
I
theme
mean,
involved? Like,
the lyrics, I'm not gonna be pretentious and say they're like so much deeper than like the average, but um, like there's a stylistic choice in terms of like death metal and old school death metal. Like you can't suddenly start, writing about unicorns and lanterns and shit
yeah.
because people are gonna look at you weird. But
Mm,
there is a way where you can present your thoughts and anxieties and like shit that you think about on a daily
mm,
basis which still appeals to the general aesthetic, if you know what I mean. So if you
Mm,
read through the lyrics in the Epitome of Carnage, there are like things sprinkled in there, like political commentary, not necessarily, but like
mm,
commentary about how social media affects us and like the relentless march of hustle culture that we've created and like stuff like that. But again, I'm not never over explain the lyrics because I think it's also important that the fans can interpret it in a way that they like.
mm, what's your thoughts on that, Bosh?
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Mm, mm. I do get a sense from even like track titles and some of the lyrics that I was in my listens that yeah, I can tell there's some I mean I'm pretty much just repeating what you're saying, Boris. Like I could tell with the new album it's this sense of like I think a few people's criticisms of the lyrics are a little bit overdone, and I do get those kind of those sorts of like those overtones in the music. But once again, it's very interesting for me as an interviewer, right? Because often when I'm interviewing bands and I hear about lyrics and album and theme and concept. It's almost like at times you can be reading promotional material and it's like it's just so heavily marketed. And I think what's refreshing about you guys and which is why you guys have had longevity is you, again in every step of this process, it's just about just showing up, doing the work, producing the album. There you go. Like um I get the impression that you guys have never had much anxiety around like having to just ruthlessly promote and make sure that all the materials are well crafted. It's more like I'm getting the sense that it's like we know what we're doing. We enjoy what we're writing and we have fun doing it. And exactly what you hear on the record is exactly what you're going to hear at a show. Is that sort of landing or?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I generally like to say like hard work and showing up always outdoes talent, if you know what I mean. Like, there's bands
Mm,
who made it bigger and have like more money or mansions or whatever the fuck, but most of those stories end up in the same way. It's either an overdose or mismanaging money, going broke, having to restart, or blah blah blah. And
mm.
opposed to just knowing what you do, having fun with it, and just trying to make it work as long as possible through all the hardship, just being there for each other. And that's the other thing. Like FlashCrawl, I feel like as a band never became a brand.
Mm.
It always remained like this group of people who just have a passion and a love for the type of music that they create together, and that's all that it is.
You guys have kind of ended up one of the most punk rock bands in Europe just by the virtue of that fact.
Well, thank you.
But it's interesting, isn't it? With metal, like metal was born from like a very punk sort of
Oh
union
yeah,
of punk and
absolutely.
other styles. But it's just I feel like there's a self-consciousness even in the music that you can hear sometimes, or like bands' performances, and it's just honestly, it must just be refreshing for yourself too, Bastian, just to kind of look around at what everyone else has just sort of been spending so much time worrying about all these years, and you're like, okay, well, you guys can fret and worry and concern yourself with
Yeah, you
things.
can do your own shit.
Yeah. So what's ahead for the year for you guys in terms of getting the new material out, in terms of like upcoming tours, that kind of thing? Do you guys have any I'm guessing you got a pretty packed schedule because you guys tour pretty heavily when you do hit the circuit. Is there any plans upcoming at the moment or
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like for this year, summer is actually a little bit more relaxed. We're just going to be appearing at a couple of festivals. I mean, we're going to Obscene Extreme, Partisan in Germany. We're playing Underground Death Fest at the end of this month. I think is the 27th.
Mm,
Yeah,
Yeah, and then for September, there's something that we're still not allowed to talk about, and I'm so annoyed by having to say this in all of the interviews. But regardless,
yeah,
in November, we're heading out for a bigger European circuit with Violenter and the Valst from Italy. Uh, we're doing 11 days, 11 countries, 11 shows across Europe.
wow.
In December, we're heading over for 5 days to Spanish circuit, and quite coincidentally, it starts on December 4th, which is also my birthday.
Oh,
It's going to be a
awesome.
birthday show in Barcelona. And
Nice.
then yeah, we're already getting like plans and bookings for 2027, but nothing is like set in stone yet. But yeah,
Mm.
those shows are happening, and we're waiting for an announcement for a huge thing, which is basically one of the biggest things that FlashCrawl did ever. That's gonna happen in September, but we'll see
Ooh.
when that gets announced.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
and another thing we also want to do is, I mean, play Australia at some point.
Oh
Please.
yeah,
It will sell out
I,
immediately. I guarantee you it would be like I guarantee it because you guys are kind of because they're like because there's been an absence of like people going over. I've heard of people going over to catch you guys. Like I
Really?
think if
Oh,
you
wow.
do come here, you're pretty safe with venues, and that's not just me blowing smoke up your butts so that you do tour over here. We would
Okay.
no,
love
no.
to
I mean,
have.
we did so many Australian interviews and New Zealand and stuff. Like, we ended up getting a contact for a promoter down there who just did like Exhumed and Origin and stuff. So we are in talks to actually go. We just don't know when yet.
Oh, oh man, there's so many tasty, juicy plot spoilers ahead. And you've got a new album that I can't give plot spoilers for. Oh well, the fans will just have to the fans will just have to figure it out. Thank you
Stream
guys.
it. It's free.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Once again, killer album. I'm honestly
Thank you so
probably
much.
going to be listening to it again while I do up the show notes for this podcast, where you'll also find and links for your new singles and all that good stuff. People can get the album pre-orders. It comes out on July the 10th via Raining Phoenix Music. Just want to thank you, gentlemen, very, very much for your time. And yeah, maybe we'll look forward to seeing you guys over here in the future. But until now, I tell you what, the Aussies over here, the old school death metalers, they're gonna cut sick for Epitome. So I'm excited to see the response to you guys.
All right, man. Well, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. Have a great day.
No worries.
Yeah.
You guys take it easy. Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye bye. Bye.
See ya.